The cost of living today is out of control, and if you're like most people, you feel it every single day. Groceries seem more expensive than ever, rent and mortgages are climbing, healthcare costs keep rising, and even small expenses like gas, utilities, or your morning coffee start to add up faster than your paycheck grows. Many Americans and people around the world are asking the same question: why is everything so expensive, and why doesn't it seem like anyone is talking about the real reason? First, let's start with inflation, because this is where the story begins. Inflation is the general increase in prices over time, and it's influenced by a mix of factors, some obvious, some less so. Over the last several years, inflation has been higher than what people were used to for decades. A combination of supply chain disruptions, global events, and massive government stimulus programs poured a huge amount of money into the economy. While some of that helped keep businesses and households afloat during crises, it also created pressure on prices because more money was chasing the same amount of goods. Next, consider the role of interest rates. After years of historically low borrowing costs, the Federal Reserve raised rates significantly to combat inflation. Higher interest rates are meant to slow spending and borrowing, but they also make mortgages, car loans, credit cards, and business financing more expensive. This is one of the reasons housing costs feel so crushing. Even when wages rise slightly, higher interest payments often cancel out those gains. Housing itself is one of the most visible contributors to the high cost of living. Home prices in many urban and suburban areas have climbed to levels that far exceed historical averages relative to income. Renters followed the same pattern, leaving many people spending a large portion of their paycheck just to secure a place to live. For first-time buyers, the combination of high prices and higher interest rates can make owning a home feel impossible, while renters face competition and rising payments that put pressure on every other part of the budget. Another piece of the puzzle is wages versus expenses. While many industries saw wage increases, in most cases those increases did not keep pace with the cost of living. In other words, even if your paycheck grew, it often doesn't cover the rising expenses for essentials. People feel like they're working harder just to maintain the same lifestyle. The frustration comes from seeing income rise slowly while everything else, food, housing, energy, rises much faster. Healthcare is another major factor. Premiums, copays, and prescription costs have steadily increased for years, creating a financial burden that is often unavoidable. Families spend thousands of dollars each year just to manage basic health needs. When combined with high housing and everyday expenses, this leaves very little room for saving or discretionary spending. Transportation costs also play a role. Gas prices fluctuate, sometimes dramatically, and public transportation in major cities can be expensive or unreliable. Car loans have also become more costly due to higher interest rates. For people who must commute or travel for work, these costs quickly add up and contribute to the feeling that living is becoming unaffordable. Global supply chains are another hidden factor. When goods take longer to arrive or shipping costs increase, companies pass those costs on to consumers. Even products you wouldn't expect, like electronics or furniture, become more expensive because of delays, tariffs, or rising energy costs. This affects everything from the groceries you buy to the appliances in your home. Technology and automation, while improving efficiency in many industries, also have an indirect effect. Some jobs are evolving or disappearing, creating uncertainty for workers and slowing wage growth in certain sectors. At the same time, new tech often comes with higher upfront costs for consumers, whether it's updated software, devices, or services that become necessary for work and education. Demographics also play a role. In many countries, populations are aging, creating higher demand for healthcare, housing, and social services. At the same time, younger generations are entering the workforce with higher education debt and lower initial wages relative to housing and living costs. This combination puts extra pressure on the average household budget. So, what's the real reason the cost of living is out of control? It's not a single factor. It's a combination of long-term inflation, higher interest rates, housing shortages, rising healthcare and transportation costs, supply chain pressures, technological shifts, and demographic changes. All of these factors interact, creating a financial squeeze that most people feel but few understand completely. What does this mean for everyday people? It means careful budgeting, strategic planning, and a clear understanding of personal finances have never been more important. People are looking for ways to save, invest wisely, and reduce unnecessary spending. They are considering relocation to more affordable areas, rethinking their housing choices, and prioritizing financial security over lifestyle luxuries. Ultimately, the high cost of living is a structural issue, not a temporary one. Understanding the forces at play allows people to make informed decisions and adapt rather than feel powerless. While governments, markets, and businesses work to stabilize the system, the reality is that most households must navigate this new normal carefully because life today is more expensive, more complex, and more unpredictable than it has been for decades. And that is the real reason why the cost of living feels completely out of control.